Hi there. In this video, we will talk about Chapter 32 of Ibong Adarna, titled The King's Second Command. This chapter covers stanzas 1060 to 1096. We will also study the important events, characters, settings, and the lessons, messages, or implications found in this chapter. Let's begin. King Salermo once again summoned Don Juan to enter the palace, but Don Juan refused. Instead, they met again in the garden, where the king gave him his second challenge. The king presented a small jar containing 12 tiny black men. He then released them into the vast ocean and ordered Don Juan to catch all of them and return them to the jar. By the next morning, Don Juan had to present the jar with all 12 inside, or he would face the death penalty. Feeling worried, Don Juan met with Princess Maria Blanca. He feared that he would fail this impossible task. Maria Blanca reassured him and gave him instructions. At 4 in the morning, Don Juan needed to bring a lantern and take the princess to the seashore. Using her magic, Maria Blanca commanded the black men to return to the jar, warning them of her wrath if they disobeyed. Their plan worked, and by morning, Don Juan successfully presented the jar containing all 12 tiny black men to the king. However, instead of being pleased, King Salermo became furious. He still could not get rid of Don Juan, so he planned an even more difficult challenge. Now, let's move on to the important events in this chapter. King Salermo summoned Don Juan to the palace, but Don Juan refused and met him in the garden instead. The king gave Don Juan his second challenge, to catch the 12 tiny black men released into the ocean and return them to the jar. Don Juan, feeling worried, shared his concerns with Princess Maria Blanca. With Maria Blanca's magic, she commanded the tiny black men to return to the jar or they would face her wrath. Don Juan successfully presented the jar to the king, but King Salermo was enraged and planned an even harder challenge. Important characters. Don Juan, the main character who was tasked with catching the 12 tiny black men. King Salermo, the king who kept giving difficult challenges to Don Juan, hoping to make him fail. Princess Maria Blanca, the princess who used her magic to help Don Juan accomplish the second task. Let us now proceed to the setting of this chapter. The events took place in the king's garden, where the second challenge was given, and at the seashore, where Maria Blanca used her magic to retrieve the tiny black men. Here are some of the lessons shown in this chapter. When facing great challenges, it is important to have the right support and guidance to achieve success. Using power and intelligence for good leads to victory, but it may also spark jealousy or anger from those with bad intentions. Accepting challenges, no matter how difficult, shows courage and trust in one's own abilities. And that concludes the 32nd chapter of Ibong Adarna, titled The King's Second Command. What did you learn from this lesson? Share your answers in the comments. We also encourage you to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell to stay updated with our future videos. Until next time, thank you for watching.